My friends, there is a quiet truth in life that often escapes us. Happiness is not something we stumble upon like a treasure at the end of a long journey. It is not a distant shore to which we sail, nor a prize to be claimed after a lifetime of striving. Happiness is a daily practice, a sacred art of the heart, a choice we make each morning when the sun touches our face and whispers that life is a gift. We are often taught to wait until we have enough, wait until we achieve, wait until the world bends to our desires. Yet the world will not wait for us, and the moments we seek will not arrive on their own. To find joy, we must cultivate it from within. We must feed it, nurture it, and let it blossom in the soil of our minds. For happiness grows not from circumstance, but from the intention we pour into every thought, word, and action. It is in the smallest gestures where joy quietly resides. A kind word to a stranger, a smile offered without reason, the gentle acknowledgment of our own worth. These are the seeds from which lasting contentment blooms. Life will not always be gentle. Storms will rise and shadows will fall. Yet, if we practice gratitude, patience, and love, we learn to dance even in the rain. Happiness is not the absence of struggle. It is the embrace of life in its entirety. It is the courage to face ourselves with honesty, the grace to forgive, and the humility to recognize the beauty in each fleeting moment. It is a rhythm, a discipline, a song we learn to sing quietly in our hearts while the world races outside. So, let us practice joy today in every breath, every encounter, every choice. Let us make peace with the imperfections of life and celebrate the miracles tucked into ordinary hours. Let happiness be our practice, our devotion, our act of rebellion against despair. For when we cultivate joy within, we find that the world itself becomes a reflection of the light we carry. And when the evening comes and shadows stretch long across our paths, we will rest knowing that happiness was never a destination, but a journey we have walked, moment by moment, with courage, gratitude, and love. Happiness is often imagined as a distant peak, a reward at the end of a long climb, something to be attained after years of struggle, sacrifice, and striving. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that joy waits somewhere far away in the next achievement, the next relationship, or the next milestone. Yet, this belief keeps us suspended in a state of constant anticipation, forever waiting, while life unfolds quietly around us. True happiness does not reside in the future. It is not a far-off destination tucked behind the veil of accomplishments. Instead, it exists in the present moment, ready to be embraced if only we choose to see it. Recognizing this shifts our perspective, freeing us from the relentless chase and allowing us to find joy in the ordinary, the overlooked, and the immediate. To practice happiness daily is to understand that it is a skill, a discipline that must be nurtured like a garden. Seeds of joy do not grow from neglect or wishful thinking. They flourish when tended with attention, care, and intention. Each morning presents a fresh opportunity to cultivate this inner state. A simple act of mindfulness, a conscious choice to greet the day with openness rather than resistance, can begin the process of planting happiness. Even in the smallest moments, there is room to practice. Savoring the aroma of morning coffee, listening to the rhythm of birds outside the window, or feeling the warmth of sunlight on the skin. These may seem trivial, but they are acts of devotion to joy itself, daily rituals that build resilience and contentment from the ground up. Happiness as a practice is also a matter of self-awareness. It requires paying attention to our inner dialogue, noticing when the mind drifts into patterns of negativity, comparison, or fear. Each time we recognize these patterns, we have a choice to let them dictate our mood or to consciously redirect our thoughts toward gratitude, acceptance, and hope. The act of redirecting the mind is itself a practice of joy, a daily training in presence and self-compassion. By acknowledging our emotions without letting them control us, we create space for happiness to emerge organically. It is in these intentional pauses, in these quiet acts of self-care, that joy takes root, proving that it is not a fleeting emotion but a cultivated way of being. Another essential aspect of practicing happiness daily is embracing imperfection. The misconception that happiness requires a perfect life, free of setbacks, keeps us trapped in a cycle of disappointment. Yet, life, by its very nature, is unpredictable and often messy. Recognizing this and choosing to find moments of joy despite the chaos is a radical act of liberation. Happiness is not contingent on external circumstances. It grows when we allow ourselves to celebrate the small victories, the simple pleasures, and the fleeting moments of peace, even when the world around us seems turbulent. Practicing joy daily teaches us to seek light in the shadows and warmth in the cold corners of existence. Connection with others also plays a vital role in making happiness a practice. Joy thrives when shared, when our hearts are open to the laughter, love, and kindness of those around us. Daily practice can include small gestures of compassion, expressions of gratitude, or a simple smile to a stranger. These acts do not merely benefit others, they reinforce our own sense of purpose and belonging. By choosing to interact with the world in ways that spread positivity, we train our hearts to recognize joy not as a solitary experience, but as a shared, living force that grows stronger with each interaction. The practice of happiness, therefore, extends beyond the self. It is a ripple that touches both the giver and the receiver. Finally, viewing happiness as a daily practice allows us to reclaim the present. Too often, we postpone joy, thinking it must wait for circumstances to align, for goals to be met, or for problems to be solved. Yet each day holds countless opportunities to experience happiness if we remain attentive and intentional. By making joy a conscious practice, we learn to live fully in the now, embracing both the challenges and the blessings of each moment. We discover that happiness is less a distant destination and more a way of navigating life itself, a continuous act of choosing, appreciating, and being fully present. Each morning, each breath, each interaction becomes a chance to practice joy, reminding us that the pursuit of happiness is not about arrival, but about engagement, mindfulness, and the deliberate cultivation of inner light. Gratitude is often overlooked in our search for happiness, yet it is one of the most powerful tools we have to cultivate joy. It is a lens through which life reveals its abundance, a quiet force that shifts our focus from what is missing to what is present. When we practice gratitude, we begin to notice the countless small gifts that surround us: sunlight filtering through the trees, a gentle breeze on a warm day, the laughter of a child, or the comforting voice of a friend. Each of these moments is a reminder that life itself is rich and full, even amidst its challenges. By turning our attention toward what we can appreciate rather than what we lack, we create fertile ground for happiness to grow. To nurture happiness through gratitude is to make it a daily ritual. It is not enough to acknowledge our blessings sporadically or when life is easy. True joy emerges when gratitude becomes a discipline woven into the fabric of each day. We can begin with something as simple as a morning reflection, naming 3 things we are grateful for before stepping into the demands of the day. This act, though small, reorients our minds and hearts toward abundance rather than scarcity. Over time, these moments accumulate, forming a reservoir of positivity that sustains us through trials, setbacks, and unexpected difficulties. Gratitude practiced daily becomes a shield, protecting our inner peace and allowing happiness to flourish even in adversity. Gratitude also teaches us to recognize the hidden lessons in life's hardships. When we reflect on the challenges we have faced, we often discover that they have shaped our character, strengthened our resilience, and deepened our empathy for others. By acknowledging these gifts, even in pain, we cultivate a sense of meaning and purpose that elevates happiness beyond fleeting pleasure. The practice of gratitude transforms our perception of difficulty, revealing that every experience, whether joyful or painful, contributes to the richness of our lives. In this way, happiness becomes not the absence of struggle, but the presence of understanding and appreciation, a conscious choice to see the value in every chapter of our story. Moreover, gratitude strengthens our relationships and deepens our connection to the people around us. When we express appreciation for the kindness, support, or love of others, we create bonds that nurture both our own happiness and theirs. A heartfelt thank you, a note of recognition, or even a smile of acknowledgement can illuminate someone's day and reinforce our sense of belonging. These interactions remind us that joy is not an isolated pursuit. It is shared and multiplied through connection. By practicing gratitude toward others, we build a network of mutual care and respect, enriching our lives in ways that material achievements alone cannot. Gratitude also invites us to slow down and savor life. In a world driven by speed and achievement, it is easy to overlook the beauty of ordinary moments. Practicing gratitude requires mindfulness, the conscious act of noticing and appreciating what is already present. It is found in the aroma of fresh bread, the comfort of a quiet evening, or the rhythmic sound of rain on the roof. These seemingly small observations accumulate into a profound sense of contentment. When we make gratitude a daily practice, we train our minds to linger on these moments, to fully inhabit them, and to recognize that happiness is not found in extraordinary events alone, but in the richness of the everyday. Finally, gratitude nurtures resilience and hope, essential companions of lasting happiness. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we cultivate a sense of sufficiency and possibility. Gratitude reminds us that even in the most difficult times, life offers sparks of light and reasons to keep moving forward. By practicing it daily, we reinforce our capacity to face uncertainty with courage and to embrace the present with joy. In this way, gratitude becomes both a compass and a wellspring, guiding us toward a life in which happiness is not a distant dream, but a tangible, lived experience. Each day becomes an opportunity to cultivate appreciation, a step on the journey of making joy a permanent companion rather than a fleeting visitor. Happiness is not only an inward journey but also an outward expression, and one of the most profound ways to cultivate joy is through acts of kindness and compassion. When we offer our hearts to others, even in the smallest ways, we discover that joy multiplies in unexpected ways. A simple gesture, a warm smile, a helping hand, a listening ear can create ripples that extend far beyond the moment. These acts remind us that we are not solitary beings drifting through life, but participants in a shared human experience, bound together by the need for connection, understanding, and love. Each act of kindness we offer becomes a thread woven into the tapestry of our collective joy, reinforcing the truth that happiness grows when it is shared rather than hoarded. Compassion is the bridge that connects our inner joy to the world around us. When we respond to another's suffering with empathy, when we see their struggles and offer support, our own hearts are transformed. The act of caring, of reaching out beyond the boundaries of self-interest, nurtures a deep sense of purpose and belonging. In these moments, happiness is no longer a fleeting emotion dependent on circumstance. It becomes a living presence, felt in the act of giving and in the recognition of our shared humanity. By practicing compassion daily, we learn that joy is inseparable from the well-being of others, and that the light we carry within is brightest when we illuminate the lives of those around us. Acts of kindness need not be grand or monumental to be powerful. They exist in the quiet corners of everyday life, in gestures that may seem ordinary but carry extraordinary meaning. Holding a door for a stranger, offering encouragement to someone struggling, or expressing genuine gratitude for the people in our lives are all acts that cultivate joy, both for the giver and the receiver. These small, intentional moments teach us that happiness is not found in dramatic achievements alone, but in the mindful, compassionate choices we make repeatedly. By recognizing the power of these small acts, we empower ourselves to become daily cultivators of joy, transforming ordinary routines into opportunities for profound connection and fulfillment. Kindness and compassion also deepen our emotional resilience. Life presents challenges, disappointments, and pain, yet when we act with generosity and empathy, we create an inner reservoir of strength and positivity. Helping others reminds us of our capacity to effect change, to bring relief and light into the lives of those who struggle. This awareness reinforces the belief that we are capable, valuable, and connected to a larger purpose. Every act of compassion strengthens the neural pathways of joy and reinforces the understanding that happiness is not a mere reaction to circumstance. It is a deliberate, conscious practice rooted in the love we extend to others and ourselves. Moreover, kindness has a contagious quality that extends far beyond our immediate awareness. When we act with compassion, it often inspires those around us to do the same, creating a chain of generosity and joy that spreads silently but powerfully through communities. A simple smile, a word of encouragement, or a thoughtful gesture can ignite hope in someone's heart, prompting them to extend that light further. In this way, happiness becomes an expansive, living force, fueled by shared empathy and sustained by the connections we cultivate. Each act of kindness contributes to a culture of joy, teaching us that the practice of giving is inseparable from the practice of being truly happy. Finally, embracing kindness and compassion as a daily practice transforms our perspective on life itself. When our focus shifts from what we can gain to what we can give, we begin to see the world through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. We notice opportunities to uplift, to heal, and to create moments of joy in the lives of others. Happiness, in this sense, becomes an outwardly directed force, a habit of heart and mind that transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful experiences. By consciously practicing empathy and extending generosity, we align our lives with the rhythm of joy itself, discovering that true happiness is not a solitary destination to reach, but a living, breathing presence cultivated through every act of love, understanding, and care we offer to the world. Life, in all its beauty, is also a landscape of trials and tribulations. Struggles are not aberrations to be avoided, but natural currents of existence that test the strength of our character and the depth of our spirit. Many people search for happiness as if it requires a smooth, unbroken path, believing that joy belongs only to those whose lives are free of challenge. Yet the truth is far more profound. It is in the midst of adversity that the seeds of resilience are planted, and from resilience blooms a deeper, more enduring happiness. Embracing struggles does not mean welcoming suffering, but it does mean meeting it with courage, seeing it as a teacher, and allowing it to refine and strengthen our capacity for joy. Resilience is cultivated through awareness and acceptance. When challenges arise, it is natural to feel frustration, disappointment, or even despair. These emotions are not signs of weakness. They are the honest markers of being fully human. By acknowledging our feelings rather than suppressing them, we begin the process of transforming struggle into a pathway toward growth. Each difficulty carries within it an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to gain insight into our own strength. The practice of resilience requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to endure discomfort while keeping the heart open to hope. Happiness, when intertwined with resilience, is no longer fragile. It becomes a durable force that can weather storms without losing its light. Another aspect of embracing life's struggles is recognizing the impermanence of difficulty. Every hardship, no matter how daunting, eventually passes or evolves into something different. This understanding allows us to navigate challenges with perspective and grace, reducing the weight of despair that can accompany suffering. When we learn to see struggles as temporary teachers rather than permanent obstacles, we free ourselves from the illusion that happiness is contingent upon perfect circumstances. Instead, joy becomes a practice of presence, a choice to remain grounded and grateful even when the path is uneven. The very act of enduring life's difficulties with patience and courage strengthens the heart, creating space for happiness to exist alongside, not in opposition to, our challenges. Resilience also deepens our connection to the world around us. When we face struggles, we often discover that we are not alone. Others have walked similar paths, shared similar fears, and overcome similar trials. These realizations cultivate empathy, understanding, and a sense of solidarity. By embracing our own challenges, we open ourselves to the struggles of others, recognizing that kindness, encouragement, and support can transform not only our own experiences, but also those of the people we touch. Happiness, then, becomes intertwined with compassion. For the resilience born of hardship equips us to offer strength and hope to others, creating a cycle of joy that extends far beyond ourselves. Moreover, resilience nurtures creativity and problem-solving, essential tools for navigating life's inevitable obstacles. When we face challenges with courage and determination, our minds are compelled to explore new perspectives, develop strategies, and discover possibilities that might have remained hidden in times of ease. This active engagement with difficulty fosters a sense of agency, reminding us that even when circumstances are harsh, we possess the power to respond with intention and grace. In these moments, happiness is not a passive state. It is an active cultivation of perspective, adaptability, and purpose. Resilience transforms obstacles from barriers into stepping stones, and in doing so, creates a foundation for joy that is both enduring and self-empowering. Finally, embracing life's struggles with resilience teaches us that happiness is not about avoidance but integration. True joy does not exist in a bubble separate from life's challenges. It is intertwined with them, informed and enriched by the wisdom gained from facing adversity. Each trial we endure, each setback we overcome, adds depth to our understanding of ourselves and the world. When we meet life fully with both courage and openness, we learn that happiness is not a reward for avoiding pain, but a conscious practice of engaging with life in its entirety. By embracing struggle with resilience, we transform the very nature of our experiences, discovering that joy is not diminished by hardship, but strengthened and illuminated by it, revealing a profound capacity for contentment that endures through all seasons of life. Happiness flourishes in a mind that is conscious, aware, and attuned to the inner workings of the heart. Self-awareness is the foundation upon which inner peace and lasting joy are built. Without it, we drift through life, reactive and untethered, allowing our moods, desires, and external circumstances to dictate our sense of well-being. But when we cultivate self-awareness, we begin to understand the patterns that shape our thoughts, the emotions that guide our actions, and the beliefs that influence our responses to life. It is through this deep knowing of ourselves that we gain the power to choose rather than simply react, and in this choice lies the freedom to nurture happiness intentionally. Self-awareness requires honesty and courage. It asks us to look inward, to confront our fears, insecurities, and past mistakes with clarity and without judgment. This process is rarely easy. It challenges us to face truths we might prefer to ignore. Yet it is in this honest reflection that growth occurs. By observing our habits, our reactions, and our inner dialogues, we can identify patterns that no longer serve us and consciously decide to release them. Through this practice, The mind becomes a landscape of clarity rather than chaos, a place where happiness can be cultivated because it is no longer overshadowed by confusion, regret, or unexamined pain. Forgiveness is the companion of self-awareness, an essential key to unlocking the heart's capacity for peace. When we hold onto resentment, anger, or bitterness, we weigh ourselves down with invisible chains that stifle joy. Forgiveness is not the act of excusing wrongs or denying the reality of hurt. It is the conscious choice to release the grip of pain that binds us. By forgiving others, we reclaim our own freedom, lifting the heavy burden that bitterness imposes on our hearts. By forgiving ourselves, we embrace the humanity within us, acknowledging that mistakes are part of the journey, and that growth emerges not from perfection, but from learning, healing, and moving forward with grace. Self-awareness and forgiveness together create a fertile ground for gratitude and contentment. When we truly know ourselves and release the weight of grudges and regrets, we are able to appreciate the present moment fully. We begin to recognize the beauty in our resilience, the strength in our vulnerability, and the lessons embedded in every experience. This awareness allows us to navigate life with a lighter heart, unencumbered by the chains of past pain, and to approach each day with curiosity, openness, and a sense of wonder. Happiness, once elusive, becomes a tangible presence in our lives, cultivated through conscious reflection and the liberating act of letting go. These practices also deepen our relationships, for when we are self-aware and forgiving, we interact with the world from a place of authenticity and understanding. We become less reactive, less judgmental, and more compassionate toward others, recognizing that each person carries their own struggles and imperfections. In forgiving others, we model a way of living that is grounded in empathy, patience, and love. Our connections deepen, our hearts expand, and the joy we cultivate within ourselves naturally radiates outward, enriching the lives of those we encounter. In this way, self-awareness and forgiveness are not only tools for personal happiness, but also for creating a more harmonious and compassionate world. Finally, embracing self-awareness and forgiveness as daily practices transforms the very nature of our inner life. Peace is no longer a distant aspiration, but a living, breathing reality that informs our choices, our relationships, and our perspective on life. By observing ourselves with honesty, forgiving with courage, and acting with intention, we create a mind and heart capable of sustaining joy through all circumstances. We learn that happiness is not the absence of mistakes, pain, or conflict, but the presence of clarity, acceptance, and freedom. In cultivating these qualities, we discover that inner peace is not a passive state, but an active, continuous practice, a deliberate act of tending to our own hearts, releasing what no longer serves, and choosing to live with love, understanding, and grace. Happiness is not merely an emotion we feel, it is a lens through which we perceive life. When we cultivate joy within, the world itself begins to shift around us. Ordinary moments that might once have seemed mundane or burdensome suddenly sparkle with possibility and beauty. The morning sunlight no longer simply illuminates the streets, it warms the soul. A conversation with a friend is no longer routine, it becomes a thread that connects hearts. The lens of happiness transforms our perception, allowing us to see the richness in every experience and the potential for wonder in every encounter. In this way, joy is not reactive, it is proactive, coloring the world with the vibrancy of our own cultivated state of being. This transformation begins with the recognition that happiness is an inside-out phenomenon. It is not contingent upon external circumstances, achievements, or possessions, but rather on the state of the heart and mind. When we nurture joy intentionally, through gratitude, compassion, resilience, and self-awareness, we develop the ability to approach life with curiosity and openness, even in the face of challenges. The world ceases to be a collection of obstacles and frustrations, and becomes a canvas on which we paint experiences rich with meaning. Each moment holds the potential for insight, laughter, and connection, and through the practice of happiness, we learn to step fully into the present with an attentive, grateful heart. Happiness also influences the way we relate to others. When our hearts are light and our spirits open, our interactions are infused with warmth, patience, and understanding. We begin to listen more deeply, to empathize more freely, and to act with generosity of spirit. Relationships that might have once been strained are softened by the presence of joy. Conversations become bridges rather than barriers. By embodying happiness, we create an energy that draws others in, fostering trust, connection, and harmony. In this way, our inner joy is not contained within ourselves. It radiates outward, shaping the experiences of everyone we touch and creating a ripple effect that can transform communities, workplaces, and families. Furthermore, happiness allows us to embrace life's imperfections with grace. A joyful perspective teaches us that setbacks are not failures, but opportunities for growth and discovery. When we approach the world through the lens of contentment, we can find beauty even in challenges and lessons in mistakes. The storms of life, while difficult, no longer feel like insurmountable barriers. They become teachers that deepen our appreciation for calm and clarity. By transforming our perspective in this way, happiness becomes a guide, helping us navigate both the ordinary and the extraordinary moments of life with balance, courage, and equanimity. Happiness also heightens our capacity for wonder and creativity. When our hearts are open and our minds are free from the constraints of constant worry or comparison, we notice the extraordinary in the ordinary. The patterns of leaves on a tree, the rhythm of rain on a window, or the quiet resilience of a friend overcoming difficulty, all become sources of inspiration. By practicing joy consistently, we cultivate the ability to perceive beauty, meaning, and potential where others might see only routine. This perception transforms not only how we experience life, but also how we contribute to it, as our creative insights, innovations, and acts of generosity emerge naturally from a heart attuned to the richness of existence. Finally, recognizing that happiness transforms the way we experience the world empowers us to live intentionally. Each choice, interaction, and moment becomes imbued with significance because it is filtered through the presence of joy. We begin to understand that the world is not a fixed, immutable place. It is shaped by the consciousness we bring to it. By cultivating happiness, we align ourselves with a life of purpose, mindfulness, and connection. The world becomes a reflection of the inner light we nurture, and we discover that joy is not something to chase or await. It is a lived reality, accessible in every breath, every glance, every act. Through this practice, we realize that happiness is not the destination of a journey, but the very way we walk through life, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary simply by choosing to see, feel, and live with joy. And now, as we stand at the edge of this moment, let us remember that happiness is not a distant place to reach, nor a prize to win, nor a fleeting feeling that comes and goes. It is a practice, a quiet, deliberate, and courageous act that we choose each day, in each breath, in each heartbeat. It lives in the gratitude we nurture, in the kindness we give, in the resilience we summon, in the forgiveness we grant, in the self-awareness we cultivate, and in the way we see the world with eyes wide open to wonder and possibility. Do not wait for life to hand you happiness like a gift. Do not search for joy in some distant tomorrow. It is here in this very moment, waiting for you to embrace it, to honor it, and to make it your own. Let your heart be the soil, your thoughts the water, and your actions the sunlight that allows happiness to bloom. When you choose joy, even in the midst of storms, you are practicing courage. When you extend love and kindness, you are practicing freedom. And when you forgive and rise above the burdens of resentment, you are practicing the profound power of your own soul. Walk into each day as though you are carrying a torch. Let it shine not only to illuminate your path, but to light the way for those who walk beside you. Let your presence be a beacon of hope, a reflection of the light you cultivate within. And remember this truth: every small act of love, every intentional choice to find joy, every moment of resilience, every gesture of compassion, and every spark of gratitude adds up, building a life of meaning, a heart of courage, and a spirit that cannot be dimmed. So rise to the challenge of choosing happiness. Rise to the calling of living fully and loving openly. Rise to the practice of finding joy in every breath, in every encounter, in every step of the journey. And when you rise, remember, the world will rise with you, for happiness is not a destination. It is the rhythm of your being, the song of your heart, and the legacy of your spirit. Walk forward with grace, with courage, and with unwavering love. Let your life be a testament to the truth that happiness is not a place to reach, but a practice to live. And in practicing it, you become the very light that the world has been waiting for.